The following Frontline, Union-Free Pro-Employee Executive Summary has been developed by Carolinas AGC and the Ogletree Deakins Law Firm to highlight the importance of educating your frontline management on union organizing tactics and how to successfully counter them. The summary features Mark Stubley, who also gives the 1.5-hour frontline presentation developed specifically for your frontline management. Mr. Stubley, a shareholder in the Greenville, South Carolina office of Ogletree Deakins, has extensive legal and professional experience in representing employees in labor and employment matters. Mr. Stubley has worked closely with clients in the construction, airline, transportation, distribution, food processing, healthcare, manufacturing, and service industries. He is highly successful in defending against union organizing campaigns and in developing and implementing preventive labor relations programs for clients throughout the United States. Mr. Stubley also is a skilled labor negotiator, advisor, and litigator. Mr. Stubley is one of the top 100 labor attorneys in the United States, as determined by Labor Relations Incorporated. This honor placed him in the top 1% of all labor attorneys. You will find information on ordering the full Frontline, Union-Free Pro-Employee video presentation following Mr. Stubley's executive summary.
Good day. In the wake of the recent 2008 elections, contractors in the Carolinas are facing a challenge to their basic business model, operating open shop, that has not been confronted in decades. We have a renewed and vigorous labor movement in the United States, and by way of background, started a couple years ago when the Change to Win coalition broke off from the AFL-CIO, because for years the AFL-CIO unions and all the building construction trade unions have lost membership steadily. And so a group broke off from the AFL-CIO with the goal of changing that. And so now we have two national labor federations, each competing against each other with the goal of organizing new members. Now, in the Carolinas, we've been fortunate to have about 97% of the work in both Carolinas done on an open shop basis. But unions have begun to make entrances here primarily because of the growth patterns, the success of the economy in the Carolinas. Now, last year, for the first time in decades, the building construction trades unions increased their numbers. So they see it as finally turning the corner in what previously had been a continuing decline. The two competing national labor federations beginning to make a difference in the construction workforce representation nationwide. Now, it increased from 13 to 13.9%, the largest increase in any sector of the U.S. workforce nationwide last year. And while some may say that's statistically insignificant, if you've been losing members for decades and all of a sudden at the end of the day the scoreboard shows that you won in any particular year, you get pretty excited about that, and that's the way that organized labor is today. Where's the new challenge come from? It's from the new legislative agenda of labor that will dramatically change how labor can organize a workforce and contractors here. The key or primary legislative agenda for labor is the Employee Free Choice Act, and it's somewhat of a misnomer. Currently, for a union to organize employees at your workplace, at your project, they have to get at least 30% of the employees to sign a union authorization card or petition authorizing the union to represent them for purposes of negotiating over their wages, hours, and other terms and conditions of employment. Once they get those signatures, they can then file a petition with the National Labor Relations Board, and they have a regional office in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And the NLRB conducts a secret ballot election involving those employees, typically within 42 days of the date that the union files the petition for representation. What the Employee Free Choice Act will do is eliminate the secret ballot election. A union will be able to organize your employees. Doesn't have to be project-wide. Could be any group of 2 or more employees that the board finds to be an appropriate unit. They would be able to organize them simply by getting them to sign authorization cards or petitions allowing the union to represent them. So the 42 days that you would have under the current process to communicate with your employees why being an open shop contractor and maintaining the ability to operate open shop is important to your organization and beneficial to them, and why a union would not be beneficial to your employees, you won't have that 42 days. Whether or not your workplace becomes organized will be determined on how your employees respond when asked to sign a union card today, tomorrow, or perhaps next year. So if you're uncomfortable about how your employees may respond to that today, you can see the challenge that you have ahead of you. Why is this so important for unions? Why eliminate the secret ballot election? In most cases where unions petition for an election today, they don't file with just 30% of employees. They have a majority of employees, typically 75% of employees who have signed cards, because they know once you start to communicate facts to your employees about the realities of unionization and why having a union would probably not be in their best interest, they're going to lose support, right? On election day, they have to have at least 50% plus one of the eligible ballots cast in that election in order to win. So they want a safety buffer. Any sophisticated organizer today is going to have that 75 to 80% of the people already signed up. So today, in virtually every case where they file a petition for election, under this new law, it would be a done deal. They would already be certified by the board as a legal representative of your employees. And the success of this process is borne out by their own statistics. Historically, unions win about 50 to 55% of elections through the secret ballot process. If they can get card check, they win at least 78% of the time. If they can get neutrality in a card check, where an employer does not have an opportunity to communicate with employees in opposition to the union, which is essentially what you get from the Employee Free Choice Act, they win 86% of the time. As Sweeney said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for labor to change the laws in this country in favor of labor, and you can see why they are confident and engaged by that. The second